Hello, welcome, come one, come all. Emily and Jace, happy 10 years of the podcast and
Woo.
happy 500
yes.
episodes. How are you celebrating in this very special Multiamory holiday season?
I have been celebrating by rushing to get everything set up for our new Supercast subscriptions
Yes.
and updating our webpage.
We'll talk about that momentarily. How about you, Emily?
Oh gosh, I've just been thinking about what the last 10 years have meant to me, how much we've changed, how much we've grown, and what we've gotten to do with this show. And it's been a real privilege and pleasure.
Oh, it truly has. It truly has.
Yeah.
I guess I've been celebrating by doing what I've been doing for the past 10 years, which is scrambling to write episodes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
We got some more of those. Always doing that.
It is a multi-Amory tradition. But we're here today to talk about our big and exciting transition away from Patreon and onto Supercast. So first, let's do a big zoom out to talk a little bit about why multi-Amory exists at all. So we're in a landscape where still, even with more mainstream recognition of non-normative relationships, most relationship advice shows and resources and books fail to recognize anyone who's living outside the norm. Still, in a lot of the mainstream relationship advice books, non-monogamy is included as an afterthought, or authors and experts and researchers may talk about it but not be very informed. And basically at Multiamory, we're really passionate about being able to change that and create a relationship advice resource that is high quality, it is researched back, and also it includes all types of modern relationships. So everything from people who are choosing to be consciously monogamous to all of us non-monogamous folks, people who are casually dating, queer platonic partnerships, married couples who are choosing to live separately, or people who are single by choice, everything in between. Basically, we really have always wanted to create a resource that centers all of us relationship weirdos. And I say that in the most loving way possible.
Yeah. And so for those of you who listen to podcasts, I'm sure most of you listen to other shows as well. Traditionally, podcasts are funded by advertisers, by putting ads on their show, whether those are pre-recorded ones like the radio or ones that the hosts talk about products they actually use. And while we do have some great sponsorships, many companies and brands are still wary of sponsoring a show like ours that talks about non-normative relationships or talks frankly about sex, even though we're not a very sex-focused show. And mainstream media and advertising still incorrectly perceives this topic as like deviant or hypersexual or, I don't know, too edgy or too controversial to support. So we already have kind of a lower pool of advertisers who even approach people on our network at all. And then of those, we say no to at least half of those because they're things that we just don't feel like they align with our values, or they're not something we're comfortable supporting, or it's just not something that we would feel comfortable recommending to our friends. And so we do turn those down. What's cool about this, though, is it means that the sponsors we do have are people willing to see past that and who are comfortable. Even if it seems like a brand that might not be immediately related, it's like they're comfortable enough to say, yes, this is an audience that we care about. These are people we want to reach. And while this misconception not only affects our ability to secure traditional funding, but it's also the reason why doing this show is important. The whole reason why we started this in the first place was to make this not something that's shameful or hidden in the shadows or something where we can't admit that we do it publicly or professionally. And so the support that we've gotten from all of you to help us keep doing that shows us that this is important, to keep producing high quality, inclusive content to the best of our ability, continuing to try to get better every week without compromising on our values or leaving people out of the discussion because we think it'll make an advertiser more comfortable.
This show really has been a labor of love for the three of us. And I know personally I would love to make this show my entire job. It has become a huge part of my life, but all three of us still have traditional jobs that we do outside of this show. We haven't been able to quit our day job to just do this show exclusively. And maybe some of you know, but way back at the beginning, we were paying for everything out of pocket. It was all coming from us in order to do this every single week to bring all of this information to you. And we really don't want to keep all of this content behind a paywall. Even shows like the New York Times shows, all of their back catalog is starting to go behind a paywall. And so you can access current shows or shows that come out that week, but you can't access anything before that current week. And we really don't want to do anything like that. We want you to be able to go back into the archives to look at the last 500 episodes and say, okay, what am I needing right now? What do I want to explore that's going to help me with a problem that's happening in my relationship? We want to keep that accessible to all of you. We have been with Patreon. Many of you have heard about it, probably from us and from a lot of other people out there. We've been with Patreon for a very long time. I think since 2016?
2017
I think
or so.
I think it's been
Yeah.
almost 9 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a really, really long time. But now we are switching to Supercast. And with Supercast, we're able to offer things like sliding scale in terms of our payment structure. We can offer financial assistance, and we can offer gifted subscriptions, which is something that a lot of you out there have been asking for years.
If you've listened to this and that's already convinced you, oh my God, I'm so excited. How can I sign up? How can I join the community? You can go to multiamory.com/join. Or if you're an existing Patreon subscriber and you want to start your migration over to Supercast, you can go to multiamory.com/Patreon switch. I'm going to repeat those URLs at the very end of this episode, but I'll talk a little bit about what we're doing with our community now. As Emily mentioned, like since we can switch over to Supercast, there's things that we're able to do that we weren't able to do on Patreon. And so what's super exciting is that we're able to now do a sliding scale where instead of limiting certain benefits to certain tiers, we're offering all of the benefits to every single tier, and members can choose which tier just works for their financial reality. So the things that we're offering people include things like access to our private invite-only Discord server, being able to get ad-free episodes, getting episodes released a day early. You can get access to our monthly video support and processing group. You get priority submission for your questions for our Q&A and AMA episodes. You get early access to ticketed live events and workshops, and also discount codes for any kind of ticketed live event or workshop that we hold, as well as invites to supporter-only pop-up events and local community hangouts that we hold maybe once or twice a year.
As we mentioned earlier, we wanted to move away from putting our main content behind a paywall. A lot of consultants we've talked to about the show, one of the first things they always suggest is maybe put every other episode behind a paywall, or put everything earlier than a month in the past behind a paywall, or do something like that. And for us, the podcast itself is the thing we make. And it's the thing since the very beginning we've wanted to put out into the world to make this accessible and normalized. And so that has been really important to us. So the decisions we've made along the way have been based around, we don't want to compromise on that the podcast is the thing that we put out there into the world for free. And also the transcripts that we pay to get made to make it available to people who are hearing impaired or who just don't want to listen to a podcast. They also have a text version they can read. And so that's been really important to us. As far as access to all of the extra stuff, like the ad-free episodes and the community and things like that, the fact that people have been willing to support us in that has made it possible for us to keep doing this and to keep putting this stuff out there into the world for free. But we also do try to be mindful that this community is really important to people. And so that was one of the things we were excited to switch to, even though, again, a lot of people in the industry raise their eyebrows and are skeptical of doing a sliding scale and letting people choose what they want to pay. But being able to provide this for our listeners to be able to join the community at a price that works for them, to us, it's like we'd rather have as many people as possible able to be part of this and join this than trying to increase prices or, limit benefits or something like that. So we're really excited for this sliding scale where basically we have 3 main tiers right now that you can choose between. And there's some guidance posted to help you get a sense of where you sit financially relative to other people to help you make that decision. But ultimately, we're not going to go check your bank statements or anything like that, right? It's just whatever works for you, what's comfortable for you. And we also have a financial accessibility form on our site now so that if even the lowest tier of that is too much for you, either temporarily or long-term, you're able to fill out that accessibility form and just automatically get emailed a promo code for the price that you've chosen. And you can redo those as often as you need. You can change them. You can change tiers whenever you want, knowing that you're not going to lose any of the benefits, that you'll still have access to the community and the early releases of episodes and the video discussion groups and all of those things. So for us, that's one of the biggest, most exciting things. And now we get to look forward to what are additional benefits that we can start to offer as well. How can we make this even better for everyone in this community? And then I'm also super excited that you can gift subscriptions to other people. The holiday season's coming up, so now you could actually do that, whereas before with Patreon, that just wasn't a feature that they allowed. So you could gift someone, a few months or a year of a subscription if you want. And for those of you who just want to make a one-off donation, you can also do that through Supercast. And again, that was something you couldn't really do through Patreon. So if someone wanted that, they would have to ask us directly for our PayPal information or something like that. So we just really appreciate all of you who love this show, who support us as we try to do our best with all of the time and energy that we have to be able to keep improving this show and keep broadening what we're able to offer, even though it's hard sometimes, right? And knowing that this matters to all of you helps us keep going, even when working 2 or 3 jobs while keeping this going.
If you've been thinking about becoming a subscriber for a number of years or a number of months, but for whatever reason you're like, it's too much money, or the actual thing that I want is not something that I want to pay that much for, then you can now become a subscriber for whatever amount you want. And again, you can go to multiamory.com/join to become a subscriber on Supercast. Or if you already are a patron, you can transition over to Supercast by going to multiamory.com/Patreon switch. Supercast has done a really good job helping us transition over to their platform, and they extend that to all of you as well. So if, for instance, you've already paid for the month, they will prorate the rest of the month, for instance, for you, so that you're not paying more or paying double what you would if you were going to Supercast and have already paid for Patreon. So again, they make it really easy for you, and we really hope that all of you out there love this switch, that Supercast is an even better platform for you to be able to support us and then get all of the benefits that you want out of what we have to offer you, including, again, those ad-free episodes and the monthly video support and processing groups. And then you're able to submit questions on our Q&A and AMA episodes as well.
And our amazing Discord server.
Heck yes, it's wonderful. So we can't wait to hear what you all think of this transition. We really, really deeply appreciate all of you. We could not do this show without the support of our subscribers, without just all of the listeners out there who have supported us for a decade. It's unbelievable to think that we've been doing this long and that it has become such a huge part of our lives, and that is because of all of you out there. So we really deeply appreciate it.
So once again, multiamory.com/join is how you can get redirected to our Supercast page. You can read about our sliding scale and our tiers there and get signed up and become part of the community if you're not already.